Welcome in, everyone. Goodwill Podcasting. Alongside me, as always, Stone and Dan. And we have a very special guest today, Fabian.
What's going
How
on?
you doing? How you doing?
How we doing,
Let it,
boys?
I say I'm excited. We got CineSpidey on. Fabian, let the people know. I mean, when we were planning out this Pixar episode, you're the first person that came to mind. Just your love and appreciation for animation and stuff like that. So, I mean, tell the people where they can find you because you cover. Man, you've been killing it lately. What I'm trying to think of, The Watchers, Under Paris. Like, tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, so I have TikTok. You can find me under CineSpidey. Also on Instagram, it's Cine.Spidey, and YouTube CineSpidey as well.
Nice. Yeah, like Stone was saying, I know you have like a really, really impressive love for animation, which is great. And Pixar's has so much to offer. We each picked out a favorite to talk about today, but even that in and of itself was really hard. Did you guys have any others that you were struck or struggling to choose between, or were you sure on your pick?
Good question.
Ratatouille was my first pick, but Stone stole that. So
Okay.
I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm sad. I mean, one that I love that we're not going to talk about today, that I wish, because there's so many that I enjoy is I love Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo's solid, really solid flick.
Yeah,
What
it's a
about
classic.
what about you, Fabian?
Honestly, when he asked me the question, I was gonna be like Moana, but then I looked it up and I was like, oh, that's not Pixar. Yeah, because I love Moana, but yeah, easily Coco. That's the number one for me.
Yeah. I love Soul so much. Soul's like top five for me. I've thought about it, but it's just I feel like it's more of like an outlier for this conversation. So I don't know. I think we have a good set of movies.
Hey, real quick though, because our episode's coming out tomorrow on Monday. I want to say quick. I think we have two dads with us. Quick Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to both of
Yeah,
you.
happy Father's Day, guys.
Thank you, you too. You guys. Thank you, you too, you too.
Me and Dan don't have the stress that you do. We do have dogs, so it does get a little bit.
Same
My
thing, yeah.
I feel like a dad sometimes.
I got 3 of them.
Oh, jeez.
Got a full house.
Never mind. Yeah, the people might not know this, but Connor had a blowout from his little girl, so we had to delay it. So there you go. Happy Father's Day.
That's a perfect gift right there.
There you
Amen.
go. So Inside Out 2 was not a disappointment at all. That was awesome, especially
Yeah.
in Pixar lately. I don't think Elemental was that bad, but have you seen, Fabian, the box office for this? The projections are insane. I mean, I know Dan talked about it a little bit. I cannot believe that. It makes me think about the fact maybe they were shooting under. There were so many times because projections is just a number, and it's a disappointment because what we said it was going to be, it didn't end up being that. So maybe they shot under, but it's like 100 and maybe 60 million it might open with is insane. What did you think about it? I know you posted your review, but
Yeah, I was surprised too. Well, I kind of wasn't surprised because it's all mathematical. It's like summer just started for so many people, so many families. It's like that's literally the perfect day to start putting out movies. And then I saw Dan's video where he kind of broke down all the numbers, and I was like, kind of not surprised by it. Like everybody's going. When I went, there was adults, kids, teenagers. Like everybody was there smiling. Like I'm happy for Pixar.
Yeah, I think what you just said is the key. Like, I think, it's definitely a calculated like formula for what they're trying to do. And it's the same thing Kung Fu Panda does, where it's just this shotgun approach to like the market you're going after, where it's like people like us. Like when I went to Kung Fu Panda, it was like the same split. It's like people that are 30, people that are 25, and then like families and kids and stuff. And like when you have that kind of like wide net you can cast, it's free money. You're printing money, and when the quality is high, it's that much better because I think it'll do well through word of mouth as well. But this could have been the most mid movie of all time, and it still probably would have excuse me, made plenty of money. So I was really happy for it, and my theater was full of like all kinds of people. So it's good to see.
I said, everyone get ready for a lot more sequels. this is they have to be
For sure.
good. But I feel like I've always said that I think Inside Out 2 warranted a sequel. like it makes sense. It makes sense, and it makes sense that there's going to be an Inside Out 3. Like it's just the progression of somebody's life, new things happening, and it also doesn't feel necessarily like a nostalgia grab or a cash grab because Inside Out 2 only came out in 2015. So it's not too much time has passed where it was like The Incredibles or Finding Dory. I think both of those might have been
That was too much time for Furiosa. I'll tell you that.
yeah, exactly. That's true, that's
2015.
true. I think both Finding Dory and Incredibles 2 is both 14 years. And it was like that solid period of, the iconic stretch that Pixar had. They're like, okay, you're just trying to play off of these movies where Inside Out 2 was a newer film that had success. Probably besides Coco, the best film that the most successful film that they've released in the last 10 years. So it felt like they weren't reaching too far when it came to, hey, we have a sequel planned.
Yeah. How did you guys feel about the voice actor changes? Did you? I mean,
Did they
I
not
think
keep
there's
them?
a wider conversation here. Like, did you care? Do you think they should be paying more money to get bigger names to keep people like Minnie Kaling and Bill Hader? Like, and I saw a video on the details about that. I think what they did was they had Amy Poehler got $5 million for the first movie, and everyone else got $100,000. So Bill Hader and Minnie Kaling were like, "Hey, maybe not, since we made $800 million, whatever." So, and they were like, "Yeah, no, we're not gonna overpay for voice acting." And I think I kind of agree with, like, it sucks. I mean, it sucks that they only get $100,000 to say 30 lines into a microphone, but you know, I do think, as we're seeing right now, like, these movies have to be conscious of what they're spending, and I think if you can pull back in some areas like that, like, it's necessary right now. And they made this for $200 million today, and the last one was 175, but with inflation figured in, that would be like 230, 240 today. So they actually made this more efficiently, which is good to see. But I don't know. I just wanted to see what you guys feel about that.
Good, baby.
Oh, yeah. As far as that, I mean, personally myself, I think $5 million is an insane amount of money to give someone for voice acting. I mean, well deserved, well deserved. But like that's a big difference, like for it to go from 5 million to just 100,000. I personally didn't see the difference when I watched the movie. I was having fun. I didn't notice the difference of the voices, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like 100K is still 100K.
Yeah.
I would take it.
It honestly makes me wonder how much they paid Maya Hawke. I don't know if that information is out there, but she's basically like the second main character of this film, I would say.
Yes.
So, and I know that she's like an up and coming actress, kind of. So maybe trying to think, she might be like compared to the other people who are involved when it comes to the voice acting, still maybe because you did get rid of Minnie Kaling, you did get rid of Bill Hader. So I'm trying to think, she might be still the second most famous person, a part of the cast. Maybe apart from Iowa Debris, who wasn't her character wasn't as prominent as Anxiety, but I did go back and watch Inside Out after Inside Out 2, and with Bill Hader, it was noticeable. Just because I feel like Bill Hader has a very distinguishable voice, and I think he's done quite a bit of voice acting. But replacing him with Tony Hale was a very easy decision. But it's crazy because he's actually part of Toy Story 4 with Forky, so that's actually a pretty popular character, voice actor that they were using. But
Yeah.
I think it was a smart decision.
I also think no respect for Lewis Black there, Stone. Lewis Black's more famous than Maya Hawke.
Oh, sorry.
If you're listening, Lewis, I got your back. But Maya was great. I really liked that character, and I talked about it in my video, but I liked that it's not a movie about like demonizing any particular emotion or like being like, these emotions are good and these are bad and they're gonna like, fight or whatever, something stupid. It's more so just about like every single emotion. I feel like kind of has a spectrum of like how they behave or like what they can bring to Riley, and sometimes like even joy. Like I think sometimes maybe tries to in both movies tries to like insert herself where it's not like needed, or like she might have too much of like rose-colored glasses, like, oh, we'll just like put the bad memories away and not worry about them and like all that. And I think it shows you that, which is really interesting because it would have been easy to just make her like a, really OP or like really kind of driving the whole story and just like the hero. And I feel like it's just not portrayed like that. You kind of see like every single emotion has its place, and that's important like for kids to understand, I think. So I like how they did that, and like I feel like every emotion also got so much screen time. Like although it is joy and anxiety, but like I feel like all of them got like plenty of time to make themselves known and heard. So I think it's difficult to balance that many emotions in 100 minutes, but I think they did a nice job doing that.
Do you think that this movie, it's crazy, like a film trilogy that popped in my head when it comes to Inside Out that I compare it to or made me think of it was the Before trilogy. How it's like the progression of somebody's lives and like different, how they're a different person as the stages kind of go on. And I feel like where, the Before trilogy is more for adults, this will be more for children. I think there's a lot of themes in Inside Out 2 that won't connect with kids more than Inside Out 1. There's a lot of like everything that's happening at the end. I don't want to spoil it for Connor. It's very effective. I thought it was a little bit predictable, but it was very effective, especially with the animation that's going on and with what happened with anxiety. But they're not pandering, I think, to a younger audience. They're like, hey, this is basically for teenagers, and we're going to make it for teenagers. And I really respect them for
And
that,
adults,
especially
really.
and adults. Exactly. Well, yeah, even adults could look back on the first film and like see, where they went through that same thing in their childhood. But yeah, teenagers, adults, and even the things that Riley is going through, the fact that she's trying to change herself for her friends is not something that 8, 9, 10 year olds need to worry about. It's very much, this is a movie for people who have gone through that, and eventually when children rewatch this, hopefully they will, it'll like really change their perspective on the movie as a whole. And I think if they do another movie, a third movie, I think they should keep it like that as well. And this is a movie for like college students. I don't know if they will do that, but that seems like maybe the trajectory they're following.
Yeah, and this could. I mean, I feel like this could very much just become a movie that's just like not for kids. Like, I mean, it is, but like, I feel like it can almost turn into like a Soul or something 2 movies down the road, like in that kind of same vein where it's just like straight up not for kids. Like, it's not a kids movie, or at least maybe it might not identify. Kids may not identify with it as much. But yeah, I mean, they could make 2, 3 more easily.
They're definitely going to in that box office. I'll tell you that. I really hope it makes $1 billion. Like this is coming out, and Despicable Me 4. I think we might have like $2 billion like movies back to back. I don't know who was talking about movie theaters dying, but they were.
I mean, a lot of people, Stone. Like it's.
Well, I know. Like I said, it's always for me. It's like the ticket numbers. But I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy to be wrong. I want people to go to the movies.
Yeah, and it's the movies that are coming out. Like when the movies come out, people fucking want to see. They show up, and like the industry has to figure out what people want to actually fucking see, and that's market research and so many other things, and the way movies are marketed. Like it's a whole conversation. But I think this summer has a lot more in it. I'm excited about how things are trending.
So, CineSpidey, I'm curious. I don't know if you talked about this in your review. How does this stack up to you against the first Inside Out? A little bit nostalgia there, like basically the new idea of how that movie was, how like revolutionary it was. I don't know.
Yeah, you asked me like the comparison between the two. I'd say because I kind of have a rebuttal to like what you guys were saying when you were saying that it doesn't really fit kids. Because my oldest, I see it happen. My oldest, he's 7, and he experiences all those things already. Whether it's anxiety, whether it's ennui, which was embarrassment, all those different things, or like how Dan said, where kids don't get influenced by others, but he does. Like I see, like other kids kind of have an effect on him. Like when he comes from school, he might have a different lingo, or he might act a certain different way. It's kind of normal because you see it all the time within school, and then you come home and you pick up on things that you just didn't learn before. So I think that whole movie is so important. Like if you watch both, like literally like simultaneously, like you'll see all the changes within kids, and I think they hit it like perfectly. Like I think it worked perfectly.
I mean, it seems like they also always had the idea of a sequel in mind. Like I just watched the first one. We're about to talk about the first one here in a little bit. But I watched the first one after I rewatched it right after I watched the second one. And I forgot at the very end of it, they literally like put a puberty button like right on the console. And they're like, we won't touch that just now. Like we don't know what that is, kind of a thing. But I'm curious what you guys think about this. This is a thought I had: is that the idea of anxiety in animated films? I didn't realize this, but it's maybe that is becoming a little bit overplayed, overused, which is not necessarily a bad thing because everyone can relate to it. But automatically, when it comes to the final scene, like I said, I don't want to necessarily spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it, but automatically remind me of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, of what he went through in that certain scene that everyone talked about. And for me, and also there's another one that came out, was the short film, I forgot what it was called, but the Spider-Verse short film, which is him having a panic attack. So for me, out of all of those, I guess, maybe it's because it's the first one I saw out of those three, it worked a lot more for me in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, because it's the fact that it wasn't expected and it felt very natural to what was happening to the story. But here, it kind of makes sense, and like that's always my hindrance when it comes to these movies, is the fact that it's more impactful for me to watch a character who isn't called anxiety having these emotions, rather than seeing it from a character who that completely makes sense. And it was a good character progression, but it's just more impactful for me to see it in a movie I wasn't expecting, if that makes sense.
Wait, what do you mean a character not named Anxiety having these? What do you mean?
When people saw that in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, it was very shocking. And they realize, like, when you watch that for the very first time and you realize what is happening, you're like, oh shit, this is what they're like. I can't believe this is happening in this type of a film, kind of a thing. But when it comes to a film designated to emotions and conjuring feelings like that, that seems appropriate. And when it happened at the very end, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, I'm glad they went down this route, but it wasn't as mind blowing for me to see that in an animated film, and this animated film, as it was for Puss in Boots: Last Wish. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they were trying to be like mind blowing. I think it was just like, I think it was a good, and I feel like the kind of ramping up of Anxiety kind of taking control of the situation and just having full reign was like well paced.
Very true. Very
So
true.
I feel like it was kind of a good, and like even the emotion of Anxiety, like themselves, was kind of like losing it, and you could tell just like pushing. But I said this in my review. I also feel like it was interesting because you do see Anxiety as also like kind of a positive, and it's like you can have stuff on your mind. You can have feelings that'll be like, okay, I have to do this. Like I have to be proactive. I have to tackle whatever it is, and like it's not necessarily a bad thing. But when you give in too much to it and allow it to just like pick up steam, it can become negative. I just like that. Again, I said this earlier, but that it wasn't just like blanketed as just like a negative thing, because in small doses it can push us to make decisions, take action, whatever. So I like that kind of subtlety that wasn't necessarily needed.
I wonder if we are going to see more quote unquote panic attacks in movies. Like I said, it's happened like 3 times in the last 2 years. So I'm curious if we will be seeing more stuff like that.
I think Orion in the Dark too.
I didn't watch
That kid
that.
was very anxious. That was like the core, the core of the story. I mean, that's what his fear kind of stemmed from. So I thought, but it's also definitely, I think it's just, movies are always reflective of the times, right? Like we just came through COVID. It's a difficult time societally for a large list of reasons, and people are fucking anxious. Like a lot of people are, on medicine. A lot of people are struggling. Like it's not a great time for mental health. I think it's just we're seeing that reflected in the writing and in our stories. So
After rewatching the first one, I think this one's a lot more funny. I think this one's pretty fucking hilarious. Everything when it came to and the first one is pretty funny, but everything when it came to that Pouchy and all those different characters, that was really they got
Fabian, what was your theater experience like? Like was it loud? Were people like rambunctious? Was it like what was it like in general? Or how do you feel like it was received?
Yeah, it was really good. Like a lot of people were clapping, laughing, especially when Pouchy would appear. There were like a few kids behind me where they would when we were like watching the trailers, they would yell out, "Oh, Moana 2!" Like, and then throughout the movie, they would be like laughing really loud. But I don't think that's anything that bothers me personally, because at the end of the day, kids, just let the
Yeah.
kids be kids,
Yeah.
But it was good. And like even because I went alone during that time, and then there were like two other kids next to me, and they were like completely laughing. Like they were sitting by themselves, and their mom was like sitting in the front row. I guess they just wanted to like chill together, and they were just cracking up. And then I was next to them just laughing. It was a good time, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would say one thing that's cool is that you guys know I wasn't on last episode because I had some personal issues, but that caused me to go to like my hometown, my very small town in Michigan, and I watched two movies while I was there. I watched The Watchers, and I watched. That's funny. I know you like it, Fabian. I watched The Watchers, and I watched Inside Out 2, and they're very different movies with very different very different crowds that will come and see them. But it was cool. The Watchers didn't have a whole lot of people in it, and I watched that opening weekend. They are different movies, but it was cool because I feel like still in my hometown that doesn't happen a whole lot. A lot of people going to the movies, like it's a local, like it's not a very nice theater, but there was actually quite a bit of people in there, and I was at the very earliest you could go to Inside Out 2. I went to that, and it was really cool to see, in a town of 3,000 people, like 60 people in a theater, and I'm like, just like you said, Dan, this is a movie that people wanted to see and they're excited to see, and they were waiting for it and they bought tickets. So I'm really excited that we have a movie like that came out.
I like that you said that though, about you going early, because I was curious, like the day, like when I got back home, and I was like checking the next day just to see, like all the show times. They had one at like 9 a.m.
Yeah, that's how. It's been a while since we've seen a movie like that, but that's how Deadpool and Wolverine's going to be. I don't know if you guys saw the projections on that, but that's gonna kill it. It's like 240 million, they're thinking. So we're about to hopefully, the naysayers like myself will be proven wrong, and this will be like the best box office year ever. But because we only had $2 billion films last year, so I think we're definitely going to have over that this year. So that's definitely an improvement.
Which one? Well,
I
Barbie
think we
was
just
one, no?
Barbie and the Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, okay. I was
But
like Oppenheimer now. It couldn't be.
Oppenheimer came close.
Yeah,
did.
right. It did.
It was right there. It was in theaters for like months and months. But Connor, I know you haven't spoken just because you haven't watched Inside Out 2, but you wanted when we were talking about our favorite films, you wanted to talk about Inside Out, the original. And I know you think I saw your list. It's the second greatest animated film of all time. So I don't know if you want to talk about, what it means to you and why you chose it.
I'm actually going to shift it to third best, but still.
Whoa.
Because I rewatched Spirited Away last night, and
Ah.
I moved that up to number 2. But no, I think the first Inside Out is absolutely amazing. Is the trailer going to play?
That's all right. Talk about it. You're good.
Yeah. But no, it's kind of like you said, like with the emotions, like it's kind of in your face. But I think this movie is like perfect for like, like all the different things you feel growing up. I think like it shows like kind of an important message that like, even if sadness, shouldn't be there, it's like it does move your life forward and kind of, show you like find the good in some things, like how we see Joy at one point spinning one of the memories. You can see part of it is sad, but then once you spin it and like kind of look at it from a different perspective, like you become happy. And like all these emotions are very pivotal and like very vital to like your life. I think it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I know you two disagree, so
they don't. You guys aren't big fans of the first one.
No, I like it. I just think that this one's. I think Inside Out 2 is a little bit better. When on rewatch, the thing I really didn't like was the fact that I think the draw of these movies is how do these emotions interact with each other, right? How do you blend all these at the same time? And in Inside Out 2, you got to see a lot of them together. Whether it was the new emotions that are all together at the same time, or all of them got separated. The original emotions besides sadness. But in here, you only see them interact. There's only 5, and you only see them interact a little bit with each other, and then you're separated. Joy and sadness go away, and then you're left with the 3. It is cool to see the 3 with each other, but I would have liked to see them all. That's what I wanted to see. And also, I'm not a big fan of sadness. And Sadness has. I liked how Joy as a character, they didn't like bring her down to basics again. Like you can definitely see her character progressions in Inside Out too. Like she's the same character, especially with how she treats Sadness. But I said that I think like Sadness in a way, there's no reasoning why she's doing what she's doing in this movie. I think it's because Riley didn't move, but that's never a realization that comes to the characters. Like, why is Sadness acting this way? Like, why is she doing this for Riley? It's more of a sense like, oh, Sadness is okay in our lives. And it's kind of interesting where I kind of compare it to the Watchers. Like, the Watchers, all these people staying with each other for a long time, they should know each other. And it's very interesting for me to think about the fact that Riley is like 12 years old, 11 years old, and now Sadness is just becoming a problem. You know, I'm shocked that this didn't happen sooner. And I know Riley didn't move, but I think there should have been more talk about why Sadness did this rather than realizing, oh, Sadness is okay for people. Also, hot take here, I don't like Bing Bong.
Bing Bong fucking sucks, man. I can't lie.
I think Bing Bong's annoying. I also think he's just there for that emotional moment at the very end of the movie.
That motherfucker.
I think it would have been really cool. Sadness and Joy don't talk to each other. They really don't. It's more of Joy trying to do everything herself, and then you hear Sadness in the background. Maybe you should do this, and then she like puts her head back down or whatever. If Bing Bong was eliminated and there was more natural conversations between Joy and Sadness, I would have much preferred that. Like I said, I just see him, and also the kind of taking a page out of Dan's book here. The fucking song they sing is really annoying. And I know this is for kids, but I have to be true to myself. That kind of brings me out of it a little bit. But yeah, that's how I kind of see it. Like I said, I think Sadness could have been better as a character, and she's such a focus in this that it just really irritated me a little bit. But still, the idea and everything, I mean, it's pretty beautiful, and everything that's going on in Riley's mind.
Yeah, I don't like this movie very much. And this is why I was like so surprised at the second one, because rewatching this, I liked it even less than I used to like it. And I think a lot of what the second one does well, like to me, they almost did what I think they should do, is they took the first movie and they figured out some things that didn't work and they made it better. And based off those, yeah, exactly. I think so. When they first drafted up the movie, they wanted to have more emotions in the first one, and I think that might have worked better. I think the whole idea of splitting off Joy and Sadness was just not it to me. I think it's much more kind of like I was talking about how Inside Out 2 isn't, where it's just like this polarized, like Joy good, Sadness bad, and like the other emotions you don't see much from them at all. And what I think you do see from them is so like kind of two-dimensional and flat. Like I feel like they don't have like much to them. And I feel like again in the second one they all get more time. You understand a little bit more of like their use and their value. But here I think it feels a little bit more like Joy is like a superhero or something, and it's like I don't know. But I also just think the story, I think it kind of flies along and then it like stops and they play sad music and it's like, look at this sad montage of like child and parents. And it's like, okay, it's just like, come on, man. Like,
I'll say something that popped in my mind just when you talk about them at headquarters. I don't know if I should take this literally. I feel like Riley should have been a lot worse, like in actual the human world, if she just has disgust, anger, and fear control her. Like she's doing a lot better, honestly, than I thought she would be.
Yeah. And I think you see Riley struggle a lot more in the second one. And like Riley isn't like perfect. She's a person. I mean, that's how it should be. But I feel like she feels more like real in the second one. I just love, like, it just feels more like the writing feels more thoughtful to me and detailed. I don't know. And that fucker Bing Bong, man, he's annoying as hell. Like when he died, I felt no emotions. Like I just didn't like him at all, to be real. So I don't like this movie very much. I think it's like a 3-star movie, but I loved the second one. And Connor, I can't wait for you to see the second one, because I know you love this movie. So I feel like you're going to really, really enjoy enjoyed this one. So
Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
but again, I was really surprised by the new one. I loved it. So
Spidey, what are your thoughts on the first one?
Yeah, you a Bing Bong lover?
I mean, not a lover, but he's like, I feel like he just perfectly plays for like the situation. Like one of my favorite parts, well, because like I just love animation so much with like little details. So you know when they're in like that imagination land and he's like running away and Joy is chasing him, he like throws fries on the floor and then Joy like jumps over the fries and then like she could just casually just keep running, but she like licks her fingers.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
like that.
but the first one, like I like what they did with Sadness because it kind of can like just take you, take over out of nowhere, just like how Anxiety was in this one. Like I see it happen a lot with my son. Like I just see a lot of these movies from his perspective, and him just being 7, he kind of like, because my mom like passed away like not too long ago, and he'll kind of just tell me like out of nowhere, I miss grandma. Like it's just random things that just hit you out of nowhere. And there's also sometimes we'll be walking and he just like gets sad about something and he'll talk to me about it, and then he's happy the next second. So it's like I like what they did. I feel like this movie, the second one, the pacing within the middle, like when they're on that adventure, wasn't as good as the first one. That's just me though. I don't know why. Something was just different about it. I also don't like how they introduced us to a character, and then in this one they just completely just didn't mention the character. I don't want to spoil it for Connor, but that's one thing I did not like about it. That literally took a whole star away from me. But yeah, I don't know. I like the way they kind of handled all the separate emotions in a way.
Yeah, that's something that I guess is restricted because you can only do so much about the setting of these movies. Is that even the third one's kind of going to be, I feel like, the same thing in a sense that someone is going to get separated and they go through Riley's mind again. That's just how these movies go. Um, and that's entertaining. That's never the most entertaining part for me. It's more seeing the motions interact with each other.
I will
Because
say though, I think I really enjoyed like the creativity in this one, like the different little areas of the mind they came up with, and like how they tied into the real world. Like I like that stuff. Like, and some of it's like silly jokes, like even like the sarcasm. Like, I thought that was funny. Like
yeah, that's good.
like stuff like that, I appreciate. And
I
I feel
wish
like
I
there was a
didn't see
lot
that in
of
the trailer. That was in the trailer. Sorry to interrupt you, but I was like, if I saw that in the movie, like without seeing the trailer, that would have been really, really fucking funny.
yeah. So I don't know. I liked some of that stuff more than I thought I would, like the adventure aspect of it. And you can tell like they're just letting like that's where you see the creativity and the writing and the animation and all that.
Yeah.
I also think this movie looks better than the first one, like animation wise. Like I just think it looked really really good. And again, for less money, that impressed me. So, how do you guys feel about the Good Dinosaur randomly?
I like it. It was
There's a
fun.
reason I'm asking.
I like it.
I actually
I don't
never watched
like how people call it like bottom 5, or I've seen a lot of people say that. I don't understand that, but
Stone, have you
it's
seen
a pretty
it?
solid movie.
I think that is the only Pixar film that I have not watched.
So I only asked because the director Kelsey Mann, all she's really done, like writing wise, is she helped with the story for the Good Dinosaur. She helped write. She has a writing credit on it. But I was really impressed. Like this is her directorial debut, I think.
Oh, for Inside Out
pretty
2?
impressive directorial debut, if that's right.
Yeah, she has eight credits in animation department. She was the story supervisor on Onward, story supervisor on Monsters University, Good Dinosaur. She was an artist on the Clone Wars, Connor. And yeah, a couple other credits from back in the day, but then she was a creative consultant on the Monsters at Work. Did anyone watch that show? The Monsters Inc. show? And then she did
No.
writing for the Good Dinosaur, and then she got to do this. So really well done by her. I was just impressed by that.
I hope they keep her on for the third one, though. I think they
Yeah.
will. I think the guy who directed the first one, what's his name? Pete Doctor, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he is like the sole. He runs Pixar now, basically. So that's why I believe that he did not direct the second one. He's the one that came out with all those statements about, and I kind of misinterpret them a little bit. They are going to do a lot of sequels, and they are still going to do animated films, or original films. But it's interesting; they're not going to do personal ones, and it's interesting. Kind of good segue here. Autobiographical, like Luca, Turning Red, Soul even. But it's funny because two movies we're about to talk about here in a little bit. I feel like Coco is kind of like that. It doesn't have a broad appeal on the surface, and it made 800 million. I feel like that's a really personal. Like they would much rather have a Cars right now than a Coco.
Wait, why does Coco not have broad appeal?
I'm saying because it's a more personal story. Like when I look at like how Pixar is looking at their animation studio right now, they're looking for concepts that aren't as personal, like individualized stories. I believe like they're looking for like Elio doesn't necessarily seem like it's going to be like that. Like something in space, like his family isn't with them, but even like I think they're going for Cars, um, Bugs Life, Toy Story, even Monsters Inc.
Stuff
You know,
without
these
people?
basically, yeah,
Yeah, that's
basically,
crazy.
yeah,
That's fucking dumb though. Like, why not have people?
exactly. Well, if you like I just compared it, like Turning Red, like Luca, even Elemental, um, should follow in that broad spectrum, but that is, it had a lot of the director's personal upbringing in the film. I know that. But it's crazy because, like I said, Coco and also The Incredibles. The Incredibles was a lot of Brad Bird's own problem with dealing with his work life balance and his family life. So even these films that they're looking at, it's like, oh, that's what we want. Like that still has a personal connection, a little bit autobiographical touch to it. Like that should be in stories, you know. So
Yeah,
it's just
I
interesting.
feel like it's also probably a lot story of like them being under stress and pressure and dealing like and just saying shit like just trying to figure it the fuck out and like they'll be fine. Like as we're seeing right now, they'll be fine. But they probably just need to take a breath and take a step back. But he's the chief. He's the CCO now, the creative officer. So
I don't
this
really
was
understand.
good, but
I don't understand why they freaks out so much about Elemental. To be honest, like it wasn't reviewed that well. I think it was just a fine movie. Where this is Inside Out 2 is a much better movie, but he's still making 500 million. Is not what they want, but I thought it's pretty good for an average movie.
what did they spend to make it though?
200. It's always 200, man. It's so funny that there's no variation. It's always a $200 price
I
tag.
mean, those numbers are also fucking make believe.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, like I think they're often probably much higher or lower than they report, and that's a whole nother topic. But I won't get into that right now. But I think there's a lot of just bullshit and like sketchy behavior that goes on around budgets and like taking losses and I don't know. But
Talking about that's interesting. I don't know if they'll ever get into it because just thinking about kind of circling back to Coco here. I know Inside Out, the original Inside Out, made around $800 million at the box office. Coco made around $800 million at the box office. But I like the fact that I don't think, I don't think that they could do a sequel to Coco. I don't think it would be appropriate.
Please,
Yeah.
please.
But Fabian, you chose it. Tell us what this movie means to you and why you picked it.
Yeah, so Coco is very important, especially for like Hispanic heritage. I think that's the main importance of it, and also with like the Day of the Dead meaning so much to them. Like, for us, we just see Halloween, just people celebrating, put on a mask, whatever. But for them, it's a celebration for the people that passed away, and they did it perfectly with everything. The way he went into there, it doesn't have to turn into something like disgusting, or it's not something that's like, oh, you're dead and figure it out. It's like he has all of his family like helping him out. They weren't like happy of the fact that him being there, like he shouldn't belong there, but he gets to find his way. He gets to let them understand like what it means to him. And also a lot of like parents in like Hispanic households, I would say, they're very strict in a way. Like they want things a certain way. Like it's either you got to follow how they want something to be, or else they're gonna just like push you to the side. And it's like he just didn't stop. He was like, I'm gonna prove to you guys like what this means to me, what this means to Mama Coco. And I think that's the most important thing. And then like a lot of kids can take like that like that, learn something from that.
Yeah, I had a question. Dia de los Muertos, that's a specifically Mexican tradition, correct? That's not like
Yeah.
all through Central America.
That's mainly Mexican, but it can be celebrated for others. Like my dad, because I'm Cuban, but my dad, like he tells me he doesn't like Halloween because it's a celebration for the dead, and obviously with my mom passing away, like he kind of sees it in a way where like I don't want to celebrate this. This isn't something to celebrate. So he's not a big fan of it. So it depends on how, but yeah, it's mainly for Mexico.
Understood. I don't know about you guys. I've loved this movie so much. Like I think this is better than like pretty much everything Pixar's ever done.
Well, we agree on something.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Wow.
Yeah, I love it, and I just think like the movie does so much. First of all, it looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like it looks. I think The Incredibles is the best Pixar movie. It looks like shit. It looks awful, but I don't care because I just love the movie. But like, it looks awful.
That also just shows you how far animations come, though.
Yeah, and it's in certain moments are better than others, but we'll talk about that. But this, like, I just think it's a really special movie, and like the amount of like thematic material they put into this about like hero worship and like understanding people you look up to are not perfect and can be heavily flawed. Honestly, like in a weird way, like cancel culture and like understanding like what people do and then how you look at them and like how it changes. Like created like artistic theft, like and also just death as a whole, and like the idea of like almost like taking the teeth out of death and turning it into something where it's just like it's just another journey. And like I think that's a message that I think everyone, maybe not kids as much, but everyone's scared of death, right? That's a universal thing. And I understand this is like a specific like Mexican tradition, but I think like regardless of where you're from, like death is an unknown. And I think creating this beautiful place where like everybody's there and like I just think it really works and is effective. And obviously there's a lot of the familial detail with like his grandmother and stuff, and like that stuff's very like emotional. But I think outside of just like the manipulative, emotional Pixar stuff, there's like a lot more there, and that's why I love it, because all that stuff feels earned. And I think sometimes I struggle. Like Inside Out, it's like the movie will fly along, then it's like slow down and just sad music, and like it's just like it just feels cheap. This doesn't feel cheap because it's like part of the narrative. I love this movie so much, and the music is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. Every single song is a banger. Every single song. So
I was thinking about it. Every movie that we're talking about today, and it's really interesting that we're not talking about certain Pixar films, is I feel like all of them have very memorable music or scores. Every single one. Even Inside Out 2, like, it's funny. I mean, they rehashed the original like whatever they did in Inside Out. But I feel like that's such a staple in good Pixar films is music. That they really nail. But it's interesting with you just asking, Fabian questions about, the Mexican heritage when it comes to this film and the themes behind it. This is exactly what I mean. Like this movie doesn't have necessarily a broad appeal. It's about a certain country and it's about a certain, their beliefs and their culture. So that's why it's incredible to me that this made $800 million. This is very specific to a very specific, group of people. But like you said, there's so much things here that can apply to everyone, and idolization and dealing with death. And I also think this might be the most educational movie out of any Pixar movie, just because if you don't know about these festivities that go on, it's very shows you how they set up the pictures, and this is how they prepare for something like this. And I think that's really interesting and something that really Pixar maybe hasn't done. Maybe, I don't know, Turning Red is a little bit like that as well. But Connor, you just rewatched this, correct?
I'm kind of considering it my first watch.
Okay.
The first time I watched it, I don't know if you knew this, Fabian, but I was in the Marine Corps, and they used to do I think it was on Saturday nights when I was stationed in Pensacola, would set up just a giant projector in the middle of the yard and have movie
that's
nights.
cool.
which was cool. And that was like the first time I watched Coco. But it's also I'm with like 15 friends, so we were bullshitting through it. There's like
Yeah.
F-18s and Blue Angels flying over. So like I'm not counting that as like a first watch.
That would have been really funny though if you're like drunk as hell and all your buddies around. You're like, no shit, I'm watching Coco. Like, get the fuck off me.
Yeah, and like I mean, especially when I'm considering this a first watch, is I didn't remember the twist that De La Cruz was a bad guy. That I'm blanking on his name, but was his actual great grandpa.
Hector.
Hector.
Yeah, Hector. So I didn't remember any of that. So I'm considering this my first watch.
Nice.
And it might just be the most beautiful Pixar movie there is, especially with the like spirit guides and everything else. Like they were done so well.
I
Dude,
say,
I cried like a
Dan was
baby.
hitting on that when Dan was playing the trailer, or when Connor was playing the trailer, and it's kind of like it beautifully flowed in the fact that Dan was saying like this Pixar film looks so good still. Like when Connor was playing the trailer, I was thinking that exact thing. I was like, damn, this still looks incredible.
Yeah. I also wanted to say the abuelita, she kind of fucking sucks, man. She's just a dickhead. She's so mean the whole movie. Like
in the day of the land of the dead.
no, like his grandmother.
The one.
Like
Yeah,
she's
'cause
just
I was
mean as hell the
telling you,
whole time, even till the end. It's like
they're like
she
that.
needs to
Yeah,
chill
yeah.
out. I don't know, but
That's
everyone
how
else
it is.
was great. And she's still a great character. I'm messing around, but she's serious, man.
That's how it is. Like I was saying, like in Hispanic culture, yeah, it's always the grandmas that are like do this, do that.
Yeah.
Oh no, and it's like
Yeah, I mean,
we're kids, you know.
It's not Hispanic, but I had a straight Italian grandmother who's very much the same way. She was like 4'10", very small, but like huge personality. So I get it. But I love this movie, and all the voice acting is amazing. I feel like every performance like feels unique and like really fitting. Also the way the skeletons are designed, like that animation was really difficult. That's cool to read about, and the way like even with Miguel kind of like slowly transforming and like becoming like translucent, like that's so cool to me, and difficult. So major props to them for how they put this together.
I'll say Anthony Gonzalez was the guy who played
Miguel,
yeah, and I think he was like 12 or 13 when they made this, and he does a phenomenal job at voice acting. He's really solid in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. I was looking at the cast today too. I didn't know that was Gael Garcia that voices Hector. He's the same one from that movie that I'm always recommending, Cassandro. I don't know if you guys ever saw it.
No.
Yeah, he's a pretty good actor. But yeah, I didn't know he was the voice actor.
Nice. He's been in a lot of stuff, it looks like. Hopefully he becomes more of a, household name.
Yeah. I also just think like it's one of those movies where you can tell there's just a lot of effort was put into it. Not only we're talking about like the music and the animation and all that, but like they did a ton of research. Like they took trips to Mexico. They brought in all kinds of consultants like to get the culture right. And I think like regardless, and Connor, we've talked about this before, like we talked about it with the military, like putting in the effort to get shit right and to like show that you actually respect whoever, regardless of what it is, whoever you're dealing with. Like the fear here, right, would be to make this movie, but like not really care about the traditions, not really care about the people you're representing, and just try to like co-opt them for like people to come watch it. And I think that's always the fear. But when you put in the effort and actually care about telling these stories and like talking about these traditions and all, like it's really cool to see. And so like you said, it becomes like educational, and because they actually did their fucking homework and understand, and they're not just trying to like pretend that they care or understand. So I think that's important.
I think it's funny when you look at the cast of this, like they did a very good job of making sure like nothing but Hispanic actors, right? But then if you scroll all the way down, you got John Ratzenberger, who's in like every single like the white dude who's in like every single Pixar movie. He plays a character named Juan. I'm like, oh, there he is.
Well, he's the one and only, so
Yeah,
okay.
it's okay for him
All
to be
right.
in it.
Jesus Christ. One of the non-dads making a dad joke in here.
I'll say, so it's interesting. So we talked about, you loved, so do you like this movie more than Soul then, Dan?
Do I like this more than Soul?
Yeah.
Yes. This is like top. I think it's like 2 or 3 for me.
Nice.
Wow.
And then Fabian, this is your number 1, correct? For Pixar?
Yeah, it's well, if it weren't Pixar, Moana would be my number 1 movie, like animated for Disney movies, basically.
I was gonna say, not that it. Oh,
Go ahead.
not that it's Pixar, but where do you guys have Encanto in your rankings?
It's good.
Yeah, I tried like 10 different times to watch that movie, and it's just, I swear, it's just something. I don't know what it is. It just doesn't like fully work.
I'm a little bit over the misunderstood villains, kind of a trope. You know, they're not actually mean. They're just, you know, they just want what's best for their family, and that's a little bit different. Like the villain here, De La Cruz, is very much a bad guy. You know, and I like that, and that's one thing I like about Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Like, there's actually bad characters in that. They're just bad people. And then Encanto, it's just like, no, the grandmother just wanted what was best.
It's always the grandmas.
Yeah. So
This movie's also like pretty. Like, there's some serious stuff going on. Like, he's just straight up like poisoned and murdered. Like, and they're talking about like, I'm gonna kill you or this and that. It's like, damn. And the guy gets crushed by the bell twice, like, which is hilarious.
You know, a movie I actually think set the standard for that though is Incredibles, which we'll get to.
The first PG
my
Pixar
God.
movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, even like doing this whole rewatch that I'm doing for Pixar right now, even the first Toy Story, I mean, they're talking about the other toys being like cannibals, and they think that like Woody murdered Buzz because he has like his arm, and they call him like a murdering slob or something like that. Oh, he's like, you murdering dog, and I'm like, dang, this is nice. I like this.
Toy Story, bro. They have so much. I think you did a video on it, I believe, where you spoke about the like the PDA and just all the stuff they do, like the way they talk, like that. It was very advanced for our time, and I like that they did that. But
They,
nowadays,
I'll say a plastic erosion awareness meeting that they have, like the first Toy Story.
bro, got the hyena.
Dan had if anybody's just listening, Dan had to show off his child for Father's Day.
Yeah. He didn't get me anything, so.
L dog.
Yeah.
But speaking of the first PG Pixar movie, Dan, you want to talk about The Incredibles, which is my second favorite, I would say. That's the one that you picked.
I think it's my third favorite.
The good one.
Yeah. What are your top 2, Connor?
Inside Out and Ratatouille.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I just think one of the things I look for when I look at Pixar movies is like rewatchability. I think that's a huge deal in terms of like how much I like these movies, and I think that's where like Coco really shines for me in that every time I watch it, I feel like I enjoy it just as much, and The Incredibles is the same way. It just, there's something timeless about it. We were just talking about the animation and how it's not great, but like it does kind of ebb and flow. Like a lot of the times it's like if they're in their house or something, like in a kitchen, it looks like weird and wonky, but like a lot of the action I think looks good, and like, you know, that's what you kind of really want. I just feel like each of these characters is really well designed. Their powers look good. And I feel like you, even with Violet and Dash, like you feel like you kind of know them, like they're well fleshed out. They all kind of have interesting dynamics. And it's really well written. Like the script is good. The voice acting is all perfect. And even the like small elements, like at the beginning with like Bon Voyage, like that's hilarious. And like even at the end, like the undermine, like there's just like effort put into like designing small things that like, again, you don't really need to put that much thought into. Samuel L. Jackson was obviously an amazing addition as Frozone, and like there are so many just ridiculously iconic characters here, and outside of the like the family, just like Frozone, and I just made a video about Edna Mode. Like Edna Mode's like one of the most iconic animated characters ever, like no joke. So I don't know, I just think it's really, really perfect. And it's a good little mystery in there too. Like the story is solid. Syndrome's kind of dumb, but like it's whatever. He's just there to.
I like Syndrome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, what? You're a small child, and the hero doesn't want you to get your skull caved in by some guy on the street, and you're like,
He's a kid.
"Nah,
You don't
I'm
know."
mad."
People have gotten revenge for much less.
Yeah, well, I should just get over it. But
Syndrome's really funny too. Like,
what is that?
He's really funny. Like I this movie's so funny. I like not to interrupt you, but just thinking about him, it's like where he's like married Elastigirl and got busy. He like looks at the kids. It's really fucking funny.
Yeah,
I think
But,
he's important though.
yeah, and I really like Bob. I mean, he's just like a likable character, and like you were talking earlier about how just kind of a reflection on like work-life balance, and you see just how like miserable he actually is, and like I think it's kind of a tie-in to any adult where like we might not have superpowers, but if you're stuck in a day job like that's just like soul sucking. Like your superpower might be whatever it is that brings you joy. It might be anything. You might like to be whatever. If you're creative, it could be that. If you like to play sports, it could be that. Spending time with your family, whatever, and like just not having the ability to do that, and then you see like the amount of joy that's put into his life when he gets that back, even though it's kind of a mirage, no pun intended. It's cool to see just how like reinvigorated he is, and I feel like that's a message that anyone can take in their life. So I really like this movie a lot.
I have a question for the three of you. Do you know where the three kids' names come from? Like Dash is obviously.
No.
So Violet, a lot of people say it's because his original suit was blue, hers was red. But what I've read is that it's because humans cannot see ultraviolet light.
Hmm.
And then
That's cool.
Jack because he's the jack of all trades with everything he can do.
Jack is OP.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's ridiculous.
I'd say
Yeah.
probably out of all the Pixar shorts, this shouldn't be it because I feel like there's a lot better one. But I probably watched as a child. I watched Jack Attack more than any of them. I was like, I want to see that kid. I want to see him to do fuck shit up even more. And then I got to see that like with a babysitter. And I was like, this is fantastic. But do you think, Dan? Interesting take for you because real takes right here. Do you think this is the best superhero movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
What do you think is? Getting off topic a little, but
It's Logan, I think.
okay.
It's okay to have correct opinions. I think
Is he a superhero though?
Is Logan a superhero? Is Wolverine a superhero? Yes. 1,000%. Next question.
I don't know, he kind of acts like an anti-hero sometimes.
He's a superhero. And so is Charles Xavier.
Misunderstood.
I think that this movie does better than anything in the MCU is the fact that it plays off of everyone's powers really well. Like everyone uses strength and then elasticity and Dash and everything. Like this is what everyone says this is the best Fantastic Four movie. Like the way they interact with each other and they create different moves in a sense is really cool and that I feel like you maybe can only do that with animation, which is why it's the best. But just watching Elastigirl sneak around the place and there's so many iconic scenes in this movie like where her body just keeps on getting stretched and stretched and stretched as she's trying to sneak around and try to get this key card, stuff like that.
Yeah. They just straight up kill so many people. They're just killing people left and right. It's absolutely wild.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that's why I love this movie so much too, is because like it actually like is the first animated movie that feels real that I remember in my life. Because like when they're in the cave and everything, like their mom's like, "This isn't like the shows. Like they'll kill you."
Yeah.
Like it felt like there was real stakes.
The craziest line for me is the fact it's like, I saved your life. You didn't save my life. You ruined my death. That is insane line in an Incredibles movie.
Yeah,
I was
they
like,
show
this
a guy
guy's
trying to commit
suing Mr.
suicide.
I was like, this guy's suing Mr. Incredible because he couldn't commit suicide. Like that's insane.
It's a wild moment for sure.
Where did he go in there, Buddy?
What'd
What's
you
his
say?
name? Buddy
Oh.
Boy. What do you call himself? Incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Buddy
Incredible.
is his actual name, I think.
Yeah.
I think one of the best lines, Stone, is "I am your wife. I am the greatest good you are ever gonna get."
Yeah, Samuel L.
Yeah.
Jackson's so good in this. Like, I watched the Garfield movie. I know you kind of liked it, Fabian, but I feel like Samuel L. Jackson just was weirdly like cast in that. Like, even Chris Pratt was better as like Garfield, but I was like, I just don't see, Samuel L. Jackson's voice as like a big cat. That's like one of the like few times in recent memory where I'm like, this is just totally miscast like voice actor in my opinion. But yeah, obviously he's iconic in this movie.
I think one of my favorite scenes is the like bank robbery scene where they get caught there and he's trying to get a drink of water and then he just that cop definitely died, right? That man, like, that kills you, right? Like,
It has to.
there's no shot he survived that. But
good.
that's a good scene.
I
I really like what they did with them.
Go ahead,
No, sorry, go ahead.
You good?
Oh yeah. I was gonna say that my favorite thing about it is what they did with Syndrome. Like, it's obvious, like, just by his design. I'm like, I saw him and I was like, I don't know if they confirmed it, but I'm like, they obviously called him Syndrome because he has Down syndrome. Just like you could just tell. And then I was like, I feel like what's important about that is that kids who do have Down syndrome who watch this movie can think like, hey, this is a hero for us. I don't know if you guys picked up on it.
Did they ever say that?
I don't know if they confirmed it, but it's like it's just obvious. Like, for people who have Down syndrome, they have a certain like facial like feature to them, and he calls himself Syndrome. And I'm like, I put it together. I'm like, he looked up to a hero. The hero kind of just pushes him like he's just nothing, and I feel like that's how they feel a lot of the time. So it's like they have someone they can look up to with how important Syndrome was in the movie. I don't know if that was confirmed.
That's really interesting. I've never heard anyone say that before, but that is interesting. And that does make sense in terms of like, I could see it. I mean, I think in terms of like how devastating it was to him, and like I just made fun of that. But, that does make more sense. That's interesting. He also, I feel like Syndrome is another like iconic design, like with his hair and all. Like it's a good look. And like every character in this movie is like designed, I feel like, so carefully. Like we talked about the animation, but like in terms of the actual designs, like I love them all. They're all like, they all feel unique. I don't know. I also wanted to say really quick, I think Mrs. like Elastigirl, like, I mean, Bird talked about, it's a very simple thing, but just the idea of moms like always needing to like stretch and do so much to like be a mother, and like just having that like flexibility like is so important. I think it's like such a simple thing, but like it's a cool idea, and I like that.
Weirdly enough, my favorite part of this movie is the interactions like with the family, just like the dialogue, like the fact that she calls out and she's like, Bob, and he's like, kids, listen to your mother. Like, I think that's
He's so like
funny.
understated, like.
Yeah, and he's like, you want me to intervene? Fine, I'm intervening. It just like picks up the table. It's just really good. And then the whole adult theme where, it goes over kids' heads is the fact that, she thinks that he's having an affair. And, Mirage definitely wanted to bone him. She really did. And also another thing that just goes over your head when you're a kid watching this is Bob's job. Like, he works for an insurance company that doesn't want to like cover anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And like his little boss is like, that man's in trouble, and he's like, well, let's hope we don't cover him. Like, I thought that's like really good. Oh man,
I took a picture of that part that you're talking about because when I was watching it like yesterday to kind of get a feel for it, and I don't know if you remember in Inside Out 2 the nostalgia character. So when I saw this lady, I was like, she kind of reminded me of her.
Oh yeah, she does.
That's the lady he was talking to at the in the insurance place.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of just thinking about her. I don't know, Hitman's in my mind, like the scene where in Hitman where Glenn Powell and her are talking to each other and they're saying one thing but they're meaning like they're doing another thing, and like where Bob like points to the paper, he's like, I would like to help you. I would tell you not to go to this place right here and search this person's name. Like, that's really good.
Yeah, I also think in terms of voice acting, like Wallace Shawn was really, really funny as his boss. I feel like that was a great voice for this like huge voice coming from this like little just piece of shit guy. I feel like that was another great hire there.
He's an incredible voice actor. Like, he has such a distinguishable voice.
Yeah, I always think of Princess Bride as Vizzini. But
what do you guys think of the second one?
What, Connor?
What'd you think of the second Incredibles?
It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine.
It's
Some
funny
people
that you
really like
mention
it,
that.
but
One of the
It's
worst
funny-
theater experiences ever for me.
Oof.
why?
Because I'd flown out like states over to see my ex to find out she was, cheating with a few other guys. And then we're like, well, Incredibles 2 opening weekend.
Wait, y'all went together?
Yeah, not to put the not to put the nail on the
Like the
coffin
other guys
here.
were there? Like, what?
You said she was cheating with a few other guys.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
That's devastating. That's a story for another time, probably, but that's devastating.
Yeah, we're going
So
from
one of the worst theater
Incredibles to
experiences of my life.
Wait, did you go by yourself, or did you,
No, she came.
after you found out?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's incredible.
You got to rewatch, I think, with a clear head.
he's like that movie 0 out of 10.
Yeah, like hold your daughter and watch it. Like times are better now.
Yeah.
You know.
Definitely, yeah.
But we can kind of segueing into Ratatouille if you guys want.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah,
It's a great segue. Very
I was
clean.
saying there is the fact that talking about adult themes about Mr. Incredible maybe having an affair. I think Gusteau kind of has an affair or a child he doesn't know about with this woman in Ratatouille. So interesting segue there and what Connor was talking about. But but yeah, this was my movie I chose. Connor, it's good to hear that it's your favorite. I think this is the dumbest idea that Pixar ever had at the time. And even just looking back at what they've done, maybe this is the most bonkers idea that they've had. Because even before this, it was like toys, cool. Bugs, cool. Monsters, fish, cars. Let's talk about a fucking rat that wants to jump on a dude's head and control him and pull his hair and cooks. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, this is even like Wall-E. Like, I think this is the most out of pocket idea that they've ever had. Even like compared to Up, like Up's really out there, but it works somehow. And people have made this comparison is that I think it's Pixar's only indie film where you don't know what the climax of the movie is going to be. It is, in a sense, because it's him wanting to cook and then he gets to cook at 40, 50 minutes in. They're like, okay, now what is it? And it's just this natural progression of characters, whether it's Colette, whether it's Linguini, it's just watching their lives, seeing how, now that he can cook, what happens next. And I think maybe watching this for the first time, you forget about Ego. Like, Ego's at the very beginning. And you're like, okay, that's a creepy guy. We're never going to see him again. Then he is introduced again, like with 20, 25 minutes left in the film. And it's watching it recently with all of us and what we do now, talking about films, is the fact that, especially, and I think this is the film bro Pixar movie, a lot of people call it. And I don't know if this, the ending has anything to do with that, but the fact that sometimes you can get so caught up in judging something and, the status that you've achieved, which I don't know if any of us have achieved that yet, but is that you forget the love and the dedication and the craft that goes into this. And you can really, distinguish. I mean, we talk about not the best Netflix movies all the time. You can distinguish, that against, Inside Out 2, and you can see that love and care has gone into that. But even if you didn't like Inside Out 2, sometimes you're so caught up with yourself in the, the status that you've achieved for yourself through your hard work that you forget why you're there. And, you love this material and you should always look at it that way. But yeah, it's pretty, this is my mom's favorite Pixar movie. So I've always had that connection with it as well. Or this is her favorite movie in general, but I just think it's super special. And there's really been nothing like it really in the Pixar filmography. So
I also think it's bold. Like, I think when you're creating a story like this, especially something for kids, like you want something cute and likable. Like rats are it's quite literally like in our genes to fear rats. Like rats brought death to like millions and millions of people for so long with disease, and they are the number one thing you don't want in a kitchen. And like it's just a fundamentally it's a risky story, like taking something that people just have a distaste for and then building your movie around it, especially in a kitchen. And obviously most people aren't like not thinking about it that way, but there's like a base thing there that like it maybe shouldn't work or shouldn't be that likable, but it's a bold choice, I think.
100%. This might be my favorite like soundtrack and score of the movies we're talking about today.
I was just about to say, here's the thing. How many
Coco.
movies are we talking? Hold on, guys. Guys, we're talking about every single movie that we've talked about today is done by the same composer.
Really?
Michael Giacchino. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know if he necessarily did Inside Out 2, but he did Inside Out, and like I said, the dun, 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 that's in Inside Out 2. Like they use the same, score in the film. Like he did Coco, he did Ratatouille, he did The Incredibles, he did the one that won him the Oscar was Up, and he did Up, and he is just phenomenal. I know that he got into recently. I know you were talking about this. I wonder if this is how he cast him, Fabian. But you were talking about the one actor that plays Hector. He was actually in the lead by Werewolf by Night, and that was directed by Michael Giacchino.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's they built a relationship through Coco with him composing it and him starring in it, and that's how that they formed that bond, and then they did Werewolf by Night together. But I agree, like it's insane to me just thinking about the Ratatouille score and the Incredibles score that finally he won an Oscar for Up. It's just mind-blowing.
Which is funny because I would take all 4 of these movies over Up.
Up's pretty good though.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, Up
I'm not
is
saying
really
Up's
good,
a bad
but
movie.
I agree.
But I do kind of agree with Jeremiah's take that I think it would be a better short film with just the first like 20 minutes.
Oh, I thought you meant I was talking about the score. The score is very good, but you're talking about the whole movie.
The score is great, yeah. But anyway, back to Ratatouille. Before we started recording, Stone asked me why I have a Ratatouille shirt, so I'm going to make this a very short story. Back in 2020, like January 3rd, my wife was just my friend at that point. We were hanging out, watching Ratatouille at my dad's place. And this was after she had flown down to North Carolina to go to the Marine Corps ball with me, everything else.
Friend.
Yeah, exactly. And she leaned up and said, "Hey, like I'm going to hate myself. I never say this, but I think I'm in love with you." And I said, "This is a really good movie." And straight up. So she left. We didn't talk for a year.
Well done.
Yeah, no, I'm smooth. And
so you see this rat movie? It's crazy.
A year later, she was selling a blender, which I didn't need, and I bought just to get back into her life. Admitted feelings. Flash forward to 2022. We get married. I wear my dress blues. She had no idea, and I wore this under my dress blue uniform and revealed it to her after. So that's why I have a Ratatouille shirt, Stone.
Ratatouille saving lives.
Really quick, Stone, did you made a video? Your video was did you talk about Thomas Keller?
No, I don't think so.
So you made a video about Ratatouille relatively recently, right?
Yeah. So basically, I was talking about something that nobody asks about is like, why did Remy make, Ego Ratatouille? Because you would think about the fact that he is a very esteemed critic who, and Remy's also, came from humble beginnings, and he's now finally has the entire restaurant at his disposal. Like, why does he chose, Colette calls it a peasant dish. Why does he make a peasant dish, for this really high critic? And it's because I think Remy realized that Ego needed the same thing he did, and that is, in a sense, pun absolutely intended for the film, but it was perspective. Like, you have to realize and see where you've come from to find the love in what you're doing now. And I think Remy saw that in his first, when Ego came to meet Linguini the very first time, he said that he didn't like food, he loved it. And I think that Remy, this is never spoken about, this is all theorized, but Remy, remembered that conversation and basically in his mind kind of knew in his heart where Ego came from and into who he is now, and wanted to show him that perspective and remind him of why he loves food in the first place, which is why he did Ratatouille.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if you mentioned Keller. Keller is this chef. He's an American chef that's like incredible. He has 2-3 Michelin star restaurants, which is the highest level of basically restaurant you can have. And he is the consultant they brought in. He like made all the food basically, and like he put together the menu that the restaurant had.
Ooh, wow.
And basically like showed how the food should be designed. So he was their like big consultant. But he's an incredible chef. But he's specialized in like French food from a young age. So if anyone wants to read about that, there's a lot of really good stuff about it. But he is a huge part of like why the movie is what it is, as the main consultant.
So basically, the menu stole from Ratatouille. That's what I got from this.
Yeah. Another great movie.
Hey,
I love
Fabian,
that
what do
movie.
you? I'll say, Fabian, what do you think about it? I think you're the only one that hasn't like shared your thoughts maybe about it just yet.
Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the menu.
Oh yeah, talk.
Yeah. No, but Ratatouille, I think what surprised me the most was literally the beginning. Like, it's kind of like Incredibles, where you're watching something go on at the beginning, and then you're like 10 minutes in, and this old lady has a shotgun and is shooting at a rat. I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, because I kind of forgot all about the movie. I didn't even know, like, I didn't remember that happened. But I think this movie is very important for the to me, the importance of having like fresh ingredients, fresh produce, like actually taking care of the ingredients you want to put into your food. Like, you can go and get like store bought like cheese or something, but Remy, like, he gets so happy because what was his name again? The main character, Linguini. Yeah, he has like a bag, and then Remy's like, "Oh, you got the whatever he calls it, perfume, something like that, some type of cheese." And it's like, I feel like that's just so important to like the chefs, and they kind of like glamorizing the fact that you got to have all of this in order to create this perfect dish. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the most important thing that I took away from the movie, was like the importance of that. Maybe some other people will see it differently. It's kind of like the main message I got.
Are you guys big cooks?
I try.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out.
I can make like scrambled eggs and spaghetti.
I'm a big
Together?
microwaver.
Not together.
I'm big on microwaving. But it's funny, Fabian, when you mentioning that beginning, that's actually one of the things I also love about this movie is I feel like, especially when it comes to the beginning of all these films, the intro is very purposeful. Like, it's very dreamlike, or even with The Incredibles, like there's music and everything that really sets the setting in a sense. But aiding the fact that this is an indie film, it's very interesting how this movie opens. It's just very quiet, and there's rain, and it's on the old lady's house, and all of a sudden Ratatouille pops up, and all of a sudden goes away, and then just zooms in on the window, and Remy bursts out the window. And that's
Yeah.
it. It's just like, in a sense, even though there's so much fanciness because it's in Paris, this is such a real and down to earth movie. And I don't know, it's just honest about what it is. It just feels like it's just going in a direction, and you don't know where it's going to go, and you're just like,
Yeah.
along for the ride.
Yeah. I also think, kind of like we talked about with The Incredibles, in terms of just like passion in life, and like that's really what it's about, and like creativity and like being yourself. But I also think,
Brad Bird, both
Yeah.
movies.
yeah, but I also think like, and something I want to talk about at some point in a video, like, it's really just it's a movie of thinly veiled. It's a movie about like stereotyping and like prejudice, and like looking at a rat in this case and saying,
Yeah.
you don't belong in the kitchen, you don't belong cooking, like you don't belong, like that's what it's really getting at. And I think like it presents it in a way that it's not that obvious, but like I think if there's an important message in the movie, it's that like it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, whatever, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And like, just because some people might not think like you belong there doesn't mean anything. You still have the ability to like do it. So I think that's the kind of the beauty of the movie to me.
I just had a horrible thought that crossed my mind because I was thinking about the fact that, like I said, this movie, Cars is about cars, Toy Story is about toys, all that, Bugs Life. I'm like, what is Ratatouille about? And I thought to myself, oh, it's about food. And I was like, I wonder, if they took a more traditional, approach to that, and not as much of a bonkers idea, what that would look like. And the first thing that came to my mind was Sausage Party. And that really made me not feel good. So
I fucking hate that movie.
So
You aren't excited for the TV show?
No, not at all.
So that was a very unpleasant thought. But yeah, I think there's just like like Fabian said, like, there's just a love letter to food in this movie. It really is. I mean, there are such good themes in it, like you said, about prejudice, and even the fact that everyone can relate to the fact of, your parents don't want you to do what you want to do because they think it's too far out there. Just
Like stay in your lane. Yeah.
right. Like even I talked about my hometown. A lot of people from my hometown stay in the hometown because everyone knows each other, and you can get a job, and life's not really expensive there, so just stay there. But it's good to have big goals in life, and everyone can relate to that, even if it's something as a rat wanting to cook. It's just an insane idea that I can't believe they kind of nailed. The only thing I don't like about this movie that my nostalgia weighs over a little bit is I don't really like Skinner, and his like the random fact that he's trying to exploit Gusteau into making burritos and breakfast food, and then you have that goofy scene where all those things come to life and they start talking about it. I don't know, but it is cool that he has Gusteau as his conscience, and he even says he's like, "Why would I know? I'm a figment of your imagination." Like, I don't know shit. So I thought that was really good. But yeah, Ratatouille's will always be the personal favorite of mine. I've always loved it.
Yeah. I like what Fabian was saying too about just like food itself and like the importance of like real food and like, cooking and like having actual ingredients and like, a lot of people don't even have access to like proper food, proper ingredients and all that. So I think it is, there's a lot of core messages here that will they're timeless, that will never not be relevant. And I think like that's what makes movies stick around and be rewatchable, is like they're not just like only relevant for 5 or 10 years. They have that staying power.
So what do you guys mean? Go ahead, Connie.
I was gonna say, I remember being a kid on the power of food in this and seeing the scene where he like took cheese and a grape and like ate them kind of separate and then together. Yeah. And I went upstairs to my fridge and I grabbed a grape and then unwrapped American cheese out of the plastic and was like, "This is great." As if I was
I did that so many times. I don't know if I did like a grape and cheese, but I like took two things. I'm like, oh, you know what? I think this will fucking work. And I'm like, no, that tastes like shit. But it's funny that you guys are mentioning, the importance of like food and everything like that. Because I don't know why, but the first thing that comes to my mind is like the fact that they're kind of like doing that, like in a sense, a black market sketchy deal where they're like paying their like supplier to get the first dibs on the food for the day. Like they pay a guy, that way they have like the freshest of produce. Like they pay him extra, and it just makes me think about everyone
I get
involved.
the charge.
You're good. Everyone in in that kitchen is there's not a lot of time spent on them, but they're very like, there's a guy who's obsessed with arsony and wants to burn things, and there's the guy with the thumb who has like this this life of crime. And I think a character that I wish got more time was Colette, because there's that one scene where she's talking about the fact that she's a woman and she's worked for this, and that Linguini needs to pay attention to her because she knows about what she's talking about. Like, she's the real shit. And I would have loved more time with Colette. Linguini is a fine character. He's a little bit of a goofball, but that's perfect for Remy. He's a goofball because he's not good at cooking. He's just like a dude who doesn't want to do what Gusteau did, doesn't have the gifts that Gusteau has. But, he's been thrown into this life and he's making the best of it, and he finds Colette,
I also love the subliminal adult humor in this.
What scenes pop out to you?
The one where he's like trying to tell Colette that he has a rat, and he's like, "I have a little," and she like looks down at his waist.
Damn.
Insane.
Devastating.
Watch back at that scene, you'll see it.
I saw someone say this, but I think it's true. When I was a kid, I always thought that she had like rat poison.
She does.
Like, no, that's pepper spray. Like, she's about to pepper spray the shit out of him. No, she doesn't have rat poison. She didn't know that he had a rat. Like, she was about to douse this guy in pepper spray. But then all of a sudden, she's like, oh, he's like forcefully kissing me. I guess I like it.
Damn.
Which is not good. At least you liked them. That's good.
Yeah. Way to the lawsuit.
On that note,
how do you guys feel about linguine? Do you think it's an S tier pasta or?
I think
I
it's
like
fantastic.
Penne. Penne. That's my favorite.
Penne?
Pen,
Penne.
okay, I
Spell?
heard someone. Okay,
I
You
thought it was
offended the
Penny.
Italian.
here, I'm taking my mic off for this. Look, listen to me right now. I was just back home, as I've said multiple times. My sister called it peenie. At least mine's better than peenie. We were all sitting together, and she's like, "Man, I love peenie pasta." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?
Damn.
Peenie." So, how do you? Okay, what's the inflection? How do you say
It's
it?
penne.
Penne.
Penny.
Yeah.
So I was saying penne. Penne. Okay. Oh, ooh. Yeah, no
Now you
peenie.
know. It's not peony.
Yes.
You offended the
Yeah, Dan
Italian.
knows it all. Yeah, yeah. He's the Italian. He knows the ins and outs.
Yeah, I love some pasta. Linguini is elite though, and it's a good name.
Stone and I are
Yeah.
just your basic white dudes.
Yeah, Colette was worried that Linguini had a peenie weenie.
Well played.
Circle it back around there, but
Damn, I'm hungry now. I can't lie.
yeah, say we're
Yeah,
talking.
Weenie?
Alfredo sounds pretty good right now.
Yeah. I also think like a little bit. Have you guys all seen Chef?
No.
Chef, like
Is that the
the
Bradley
shows?
Cooper one?
John Favreau, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
you guys
okay.
all got to go watch Chef, especially if you like Ratatouille. It's very, it's John Favreau, Scarlett Johansson, someone else is in it that I'm completely blanking on that plays the guy who runs the kitchen. John Leguizamo is in it as his
Oh
like
my
kind of
God.
right hand man.
He's like that guy
And-
that
Oh, Robert
I
Downey
see him in
Jr. and
like
Dustin Hoffman are in it too. Dustin Hoffman's who I was thinking.
So
of.
it's a Marvel movie.
No, thankfully. But it's very, very, very good. Sofia Vergara too. And in terms of just like you want to watch something and be hungry, like and in terms of passion about food, and in terms of like making what you want and being who you want to be, like it's a great, great, great movie. And I think it's streaming.
As the audience can hear, Dan is researching right now to see. There's some loud keyboard types.
I'm sorry. So it's only streaming on Stars through Apple TV, but it's worth the rent. It's a beautiful movie, and it's like I think it's pretty much perfect. So if you like Ratatouille, watch Chef.
Interesting. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, Dan, or if I know this. Do you watch The Bear?
The Bear, yeah, I've watched
Okay.
all of it.
Okay.
I love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Speaking of anxiety, I like anxiety-inducing movies. Holy shit, that show is anxiety. Like that's Inside Out 3. Like that's
The new season is soon.
Yeah,
right?
this month.
Yeah,
this month, yeah.
I'm so excited, man.
Anyone check out The Boys yet?
I started the first
I would say
episode.
don't.
I'm
You
on
don't think
It's
episode
it's good?
insane. It gets insane in there. Just know.
Episode 2 is kind of crazy.
Good? Crazy good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's
the
good.
sauna
It's
scene, you know?
unnecessary stuff in there that.
Well,
They
and
just-
then I remember in the third season, you watched it, right, Dan?
Yeah.
I said on the third season, I remember like 3 seconds in, the dude like climbs into like a penis. So I mean, it'll be wild if they can, blow me more away than that. But
I think it's funny because they just keep bringing in characters from Supernatural or actors from Supernatural.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and then I forget the actor's name, but Dan can probably help. The guy who plays God or Chuck in Supernatural is in season 4.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
They've got to get Jared Padalecki in there because he just got.
Yeah.
I think his show just got canceled because it's on CW or Walker. So just put him in there. I remember.
No, they're bringing him in for season 5.
Really?
Yeah, because it's the same writer for the first 5 seasons of Supernatural it is for the boys.
Oh.
Eric Kripke.
Whoa. There's no more of the boys. This is the last season, I think.
No, there's one
No,
more.
there's one more.
There's one more, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure.
But there's one more.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
they're
sure
gonna do
there's
5
going
and
to be a
that's it.
season 5.
We're giving you a real take here, Dan. There's one more, sir.
Okay, thanks for that real take. Medical movie, man. Appreciate that. But Rob Benedict is the actor,
Okay.
Connor. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
And I love that take on God. It's very, not to get into that, but I
Fabian,
like
have you
it.
watched Supernatural?
No, the only episode I was interested in, like when I was younger, was the Bloody Mary. I don't know if you guys grew up with people talking
Yeah.
about Bloody Mary. Yeah, so
Oh, yeah.
I watched it and I was like creeped out, and I was like, never again. But
At least you didn't watch
But-
Bugs.
Yeah, but everyone said bugs. What's that?
It's one of the episodes in season 1 that they continuously make fun of throughout the rest of the show.
Oh God. Yeah, so I've never like really seen the show. Everyone tells me like in my comment section on TikTok, they're like, watch Supernatural. And I'm like, okay, someday. It's
I mean,
like
it's
10 seasons.
One thing I remember, it's like insane, like completely off topic here. But usually when it comes to show, I know this isn't a thing in The Boys season 4, is you see a character lose weight. And that's like a big thing. Like I remember that happened. I'm a big fan of Modern Family. I know Dan just talked about Sofia Vergara. Like the person who played Cam, there's like a scene where he like a season or a couple seasons where he lost a lot of weight. And I feel like that's like that happens a lot in shows. And that's like the biggest body transformation that you ever see, really, when it comes to a show, whether it's a movie, Christian Bale, and all that stuff. The most insane thing about Supernatural is that the second main character, the guy who plays Sam, Jared Padalecki, who's going to be in season 5 of The Boys, he got so fucking jacked. It's like he gets huge, and it looks somewhat natural, but I feel like
Got
I
on
never
that chicken,
really,
broccoli, and rice.
yeah, I feel
I
like
mean,
I've
like,
never seen a
he's,
show
like,
where
pretty
some dude
ripped.
just gets jacked over the
He's
time.
like pretty ripped in the early seasons. Like I think it just
No, he gets
He's
Is he
just
the
like a
blonde-
skinny dude
the
that's
blonde
just
head?
like big, like low key. I think he's just like tall, but Supernatural is fucking great. There's like Fabian, you said it's I think it's 15 seasons, Connor.
Yeah.
It's like 330 episodes, so like it's an undertaking, but like it's on Netflix now. It's been on Netflix, so like if anyone wants to watch it,
they're
it's worth
rumoring a
diving. It's
season
easy to
16.
watch. What's that?
They're rumoring a season 16.
Okay,
Why do
but
they keep
I
doing
love
that?
it.
with
It's an
shows?
all-time show for me.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
love
Dexter.
Yeah,
Literally like Dexter, or if they were to bring back well they did with Breaking Bad with Better Call Saul, they did like a whole another season.
Just let
Like
it
why
die.
do they keep on?
Money.
money, man.
Yeah.
I know, kind of again off topic here, but it just makes me think about that fact that everyone's going to be talking about. You know, if you guys want to make videos about it, it's going to blow up here in like 2 weeks. But Lost is about to be back on Netflix at the start of July, and I feel like people are going to, binge that again.
How I Met Your
So-
Mother's back.
Yeah, they're getting everything back. They really are.
Yeah.
So I always tell people when it comes to streaming services, never delete Netflix because Netflix is by and far. It's just we are a streaming service first, and that's all we care about. And these other companies like Max or even Paramount Plus, Hulu, Disney Plus, they care about theaters. They care about making money in the theaters, and they know that their movies aren't making money in the theaters as much anymore because of streaming. Netflix still doesn't put their movies in theaters, so their streaming services will always do well, and their movies will always do well. So yeah, everything will eventually come back.
Netflix wants Netflix to be the only thing that exists.
Yep.
Netflix would love to see movie theaters and physical media die. That's like what they want, I think, and it's fucked. Like
I was about to agree with him until he said that part. I was like, wait, no.
Yeah, Inside Out 2 just gave him a big old finger this weekend, huh? Making all that money.
yeah, but it sucks, man, because like I saw so many people say Furiosa looks like a Netflix movie. That was a common thread in criticism. I'm like, man, like that's where we're at now, where they've damaged people's like expectations and understanding of what movies actually are in real life. Because some people just don't. They're not going out. They're not watching stuff. They're just at home watching what they can on like streaming services, and like that's what Netflix has done. To now people say watch a Furiosa trailer because the trailer didn't look the best. They say this looks like
Did critics say that or audience?
no, audience, like people that didn't want to watch it were like, oh, it looks like a Netflix movie. I'm not watching it. It's like, man, that couldn't be further from the truth. But like, I half understand where they're coming from, but like, I also just don't at all because I watched the fucking movie. But it just sucks.
It's very interesting because I think the reason why they think that is because there's green screen, obviously. But green screen is very interesting. I feel like a lot of people have gotten this perspective when it comes to the Star Wars Episode 1 and Episode 2. George Miller does use a lot of green screen in Furiosa, but it's very purposeful.
Yes,
Where when it comes to Netflix movies, it's not used in that way.
it's just all they have.
Yeah. Now there are some of the CGI visual effects in Furiosa did bug me, but it was never the green screen because I feel like that really fits the world. This is what you've set up, kind of a thing. So if you use it, it's good for you, kind of a thing. It doesn't bug me, but I guess I don't know. Mad Max, Fury Road used it as well, but yeah.
Yeah, not to get off on a tangent, that's just it's frustrating that that's what they've done. But all in all, Supernatural's on Netflix, so it's
Exactly.
good for something.
Inside Out 2 is in theaters. Go watch it. We all think it's pretty solid. But yeah, if Garfield movie, I mean, they're all doing pretty well. So all these, I said it. I think maybe I texted you, Dan, or said it to someone recently. But I think, Marvel movies are going away. Maybe, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, is about to come out and make a bajillion dollars. But animated movies are about to. They're doing pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people like animated movies a lot.
I mean, animation it's a special thing, and I think a lot of people. I love seeing that like with the box office because it kind of shows you that people really like deep dive into animation. Like they can relate with animation, they can find beauty in it, they can have fun with it, they can get sad with it, and it's like you don't have to have like an actor, trying the hardest to find a way to cry, to find a way to make you smile, to sing, and to dance. It's like animation gives you that power to just put it all in there like at once.
Weirdly enough, I feel like animation has this quality to it where people think that it deserves to be in the theaters. Because even just thinking about it, I don't think Netflix has a whole lot of animated movies that come out on the streaming service that I can really think of off the top of my head, like that have been really popular in a way. And I can say the same thing about like Paramount Plus or Hulu. Like I feel like animation is still in a special way. A lot of people think that it takes a lot of time, and it does, and a lot of dedication to it, and it's a special thing. So it being in theaters and people going out to watch it in a theaters, I feel like will always be maybe a constant because of the fact that people understand and realize that it's something special. Where I can go out there, I can film something with a video camera in live action and put it out, and it'd be really shitty and put it out. But you can never really do that when it comes to animation. You can, but really don't see those movies very often.
It's so hard. Yeah, as far as like, I feel like one of the best things that we have now that people should absolutely appreciate so much is, well, not Hayao Miyazaki because he doesn't draw, but Studio Ghibli, like the animators for that, because a lot of it is hand drawn. Obviously, we have technology, so it helps us out a lot. But I animate myself. I draw myself. Drawing just one page will take me like 3 days with how precise I want to be with it.
Jeez.
These people are giving you a full movie, and they're giving you heart and soul in an animated movie, hand drawn. Movies like that, like, should absolutely be in the theaters. Should always be in the theaters. Should always make money because they deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I'm glad we're kind of maybe, we're probably gonna finish this episode here soon, but I'm glad we're kind of, ending it on that note with you, talking about your personal experience and when it comes to animation, because that's kind of like what this episode's all about. Pixar, but just appreciating these movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we hop off, Fabian, you want to tell everyone one last time where they can find you?
Yeah. You guys can find me on YouTube, TikTok under CineSpidey, Instagram, Cine.Spidey, and about it. Father and husband first, content creator second. You won't see me a lot on live or anything like that. I just come on there to have fun and make people smile.
Happy Father's Day to everyone out there.
What'd you say, Stone?
I said happy Father's Day to everyone. Dan, you with the dog.
Yeah. And Fabian, I just wanted to say, and for everyone listening, I think you have probably the best production value of any single person that I interact with on TikTok. And also, I think some people also have like, they'll go for the production value, but there's nothing else. It's like all they have. But you also have like something to say and the personality too. So like, it's a great combination and it's working for you. So I just wanted to say how much I appreciate that, the stuff you make and like the time you put into it. And everyone listening, you'll definitely enjoy it if you're not already following. So
yeah, I would say you worked with Hulu, correct? I believe for a show. What was a show?
Oh, the reality show, Royal Rules. Yeah,
it was on Hulu, correct?
Yeah.
I say, in a sense, like we all have a small following, but there's a reason why they reached out to you. You're gonna you offer like a professionalism and a crispness in a way to your videos and to your content and to your scripts that you write or the words that you say that not a lot of people offer. So even though you're a father first, and that's that's the mindset that you should have, and that's incredible. Like this side job as to being a father and doing like TikTok and everything is like you got something really special. So anybody should follow, Fabian. He takes a lot of work into his. I know I've talked to you about that, but you put a lot of work into it, and it really shows.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Yeah, you too, man. You guys are killing it, man. And Connor, I know you're just like getting the flow of it, but I see like, I see all the effort that you're putting into it now, and it's gonna work out for you too in the long run. And you
I
guys
appreciate
are all
it, man.
killing it. Yeah, I see all the effort, and I like the shark content. It's pretty cool.
Everyone's loving
Like
it.
I like that. Yeah, no, for real. Like I like the educational like stuff, like
Yeah.
talking about things like that. But you guys are all like amazing creators, like amazing people. After this, I gotta give all you guys my numbers just in case, And Connor, like if you ever need you gotta talk or about dad stuff. I've been doing it since I was 17, so I kind of, it's not gonna be perfect. You're not gonna be a perfect dad,
Yeah,
but you're gonna be a perfect father, So
I
We
appreciate
watched,
it.
keep that
we
in
watched
mind.
The Incredibles 2 with your daughter. Yeah, you gotta like that movie.
Yeah. Get that last experience out of your brain forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you guys want to give Fabian, normally at the end we give a movie recommendation to the people. Like it can be anything you've watched recently that you liked. Anyone have anything off the top of their head? I'll
I just
I'll
saw on
go first
Netflix.
really quick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Last night I watched, and I recorded a review for this, but The Last Stop in Yuma County. It is now on video on demand everywhere. It's a 90-minute crime thriller, just released this year. It's a small independent movie. They made it for just under $1 million. 36-year-old director who is doing the next Evil Dead movie. That's his next project, but he did a really, really nice job. It's basically like a one location movie taking place in a diner in the middle of nowhere next to a gas station. And if you like very Tarantino, very Hitchcock, in terms of just building suspense and having a 10 to 12 person cast in a single location, really good. And it's just a crime thriller about there was bank robbery. There's all these different characters there, and you kind of see how it all plays out in this diner. So it's really good. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's straightforward-ish, but plenty of twists and turns and really well acted. Really good score. I liked it a lot. So definitely watch it. It's available for rent. I bought it because I really liked it. So yeah, wherever you like to rent your stuff.
I said I got a quick one that came to my mind really quick was the Black Coat's Daughter. And I feel like this is a movie that a lot of people should watch now. In order, I can say this because I'm gonna hopefully put out my review here in the next couple of days. I had the chance to watch Longlegs early, which was incredible. Probably the coolest thing that's
Excited to
happened.
hear that.
Yeah, probably the coolest thing that's happened to me since I've been doing all this movie stuff. But this is Osgood Perkins, the same director of that film for The Black Coat's Daughter. And he really has a gift after watching those two films. He understands the term, and I think this is the biggest thing, the coolest thing about horror film is atmosphere. The way he stages these movies and the way he puts the even items around the room, the characters, the lights, the music, the just the way it's feel, the way the characters are moving is something special. And I feel like he might be my favorite director when it comes to staging his movies in a way. Like you watch this, and as soon as it starts, you feel uneasy. And I think that's really special. I believe it's on Max. You can stream it on Max. It's really interesting. It's an A24 film, and I think A24 dumped it on DirecTV. When I clicked it on Max, it said DirecTV right at the beginning, and I was like, "Oh, very interesting." But yeah, I think this is something really special. Also, Kiernan Shipka is in this film. I don't think it's a spoiler. I think she might have been in the trailer, but she's also in Longlegs as well. I know a lot of people maybe didn't know that for a longest time, but she was also in just Totally Killer, that big Amazon movie that just came out. But yeah, very, very good horror director. I think Longlegs is something really special. I think it's a movie that people are going to talk about for a very long time. I'm excited to talk about it myself. But yeah, Osgood Perkins, you should read up on this guy's filmography. You should check out Black Coat's Daughter if you can.
Cool. Fabian?
Sounds good. Actually, I have two. They're kind of both alike in a sense. For the Florida Project, I would say the Florida Project and 1001. They're very identical, but you can do for two different communities or two different races, you can say. They're both amazing films having to do with, you know, finding yourself, parenthood, um, dealing with gentrification, um, finding a way to help your little ones, you know, find themselves. And I think that's very important in life. You know, I know, especially with nowadays, there's a lot of young parents out there, a lot of young people out there. Um, you're gonna be frustrated. You're gonna be sad. You're gonna be happy with them. You're not gonna have the most money in the world. You're not gonna have everything in the world. But most important thing you got is them. You know, you got each other. You wake up every day next to them. You can smile with them. You can laugh with them. You know, just appreciate every moment you have. We're all human. We could all be gone tomorrow. I could be gone in the next hour. Just take care of each other. If you haven't already, call your mom, call your dad, your uncles, your friends. Like, just call your people, take care of each other, worry about each other, and enjoy life. Enjoy the life you have. You know.
It's good. I've been meaning to watch 1,001 for a long time now.
Yeah, yeah, that's streaming on. It's streaming on Prime Video now,
Yeah.
and Florida Project is on Max. It's also streaming. So
Yeah.
I need to watch both of those.
No,
So I'll be
love
getting on
those.
that because I've heard really good things about both. Connor had to step away for a minute. I don't know if you want to close it down, Stone, or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So guys, go ahead and search out, Fabian CineSpidey on all the social that he said. Go ahead and check out Inside Out 2. We all think it's very worthy of your time, of your money. A lot of things get expensive nowadays, and Dan's very real with the fact that this is shit. This is not, don't waste it. But this is something that you're not wasting. You're gaining something by going and checking out Inside Out 2 in theaters.
yeah,
You know, if you find us on Spotify, everything, and the comments on YouTube, let us know your favorite Pixar movie and why you like it. But yeah, thanks for checking out Goodwill Podcasting, and we'll see you next week.